Well, hey there, everyone. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Welcome back to another day in my 2020 beekeeping season. We started this thing back in winter, and we're going all the way through the soon-to-be fall here at my small operation in southeast Louisiana. And folks, always remember, this is a how I do video, not a how-to video, and that goes for the entire channel. I'm just logging my season a day at a time, showing you how I do things here in southeast Louisiana and how I run my little operation. It's not a right way and a wrong way. It's your way. And in today's case, it's my way. Now, what am I doing today? Well, I'm all raggedy and dirty, but I've been out cutting grass and taking care of the yard this morning. But I have a bottom board out there that is rotten on my hive number 5. While I'm replacing the bottom board, I'm going to take a look. I'm also probably going to do a real quick mite count on them. Just kind of see what they're doing, and then maybe go to a strong hive and maybe even a third hive and do a little alcohol shake and see what we got. Smoker fuel, made in the USA. Well guys, I got something I dug out of a box. I knew I had these, and I don't know why I have not tried them over the last few years. I've had these things for a few years, but I got away from beetle traps for a while, so maybe that's why I didn't use them. But I've gone back to beetle traps the last 3 years, so I had these reusable ones, and I dug them out last night because I want to try them, and I'll show you. These will make reusing oil traps much easier, but I want to see how they fit in the hive. So here's what they look like. Alright guys, so what I have is, it's called a beetle gel. They've been around a while. I got this back when Brushy Mountain was in business, and it's actually reusable. Of course, the frame goes here, and this sits down. This will sit down in the frame, and this will go across the top of the frame, and this in between. So same principle as the blaster, just a different way to suspend it. And you open the top. It's hinged, so it's not going to break open. These two compartments get oil. This middle compartment gets an attractant. I've heard that apple cider vinegar works, but what they recommend is pollen, or a pollen substitute, or whatever. And I have pollen substitute, but I'm not gonna thaw them out because I got some pollen from my pollen trapping that's still stuck to the bottom of the pan that I used to dump it in. So I could put a little bit of pollen there, close that, put the oil in there, close these. I use a condiment bottle to fill up my beetle blasters, so this should work just fine. No different than the beetle blaster, stick it in and go. And I imagine all you gotta do, pour it out, clean it out, run it through a dishwasher. But they recommend once a year using hot soapy water to clean them, but that's definitely reusable and easier, and that'll make a reusable oil trap. So I've got 3 of them that came in a pack years ago, probably my 2nd year of beekeeping. So I'm gonna give them a whirl. If they work, they're still available out there. I've seen them. Just gotta look them up, and if I can find them, if they work and I can find them, I might go strictly to these. I'm sure they're more expensive, but at least you can reuse them. All right, so here's what we got. Man, it is a beautiful day in the shade. It's 1 o'clock. It's 83 degrees. Man, fall is almost here. It was in the low 60s today in the morning, and it's supposed to be in the low 50s next week. Oh man. So anyway, sure to rejuvenate you, man. The dog days of summer, it's just something about the dog days of summer down here in Louisiana when it's hot and humid. But anyway, here's what we got. Now, this hive here, see that rotten board? And it's just, that's an Old Man Lake bottom board I bought years ago. Got a lot of use out of it. Need to go ahead and swap this board out and look at the hive while we're in here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so give them a little puff in the front. This hive was actually combined at one time, but it did yield honey this year. Got my nice new gloves. I washed my bee suit the other day. Definitely nice and bright. See what the beetles look like in here. I've seen worse. had a lot of honey. All right, well, they still have a lot of honey. They didn't care for that, did they? We rolled a couple bees there. Let's give them a little smoke. That's honey. You see all that honey? Wow. Alright, they seem to have calmed down. Guys, this whole box on the top is full of honey. Oh, wow, that is a heavy. Yep, it is full of honey. So there's what we got. Let me pull that bridge comb. Save all my comb when it's like this. Alright, well, we got brood. We got lots of bee bread. And I got my flashlight today. So we're going to check. Make sure we got no queen on here. And if we've got good larvae in here, this is the frame that I'll sample with for the mite wash. Got eggs, larvae, so this is a good frame now. Let's go do this real quick. Now, I bought me one of these handy dandy things instead of the mason jars, and I'll tell you at the end how you can do it with mason jars. And it's good for a sugar shake or sugar roll or an alcohol wash. So let's double check, make sure we don't have a queen. I got a light colored pan so I can see her, and we're gonna, whoop, I dropped the frame. Let's just stick that there. Let the bees fly up. Make sure we don't have a queen in there. Any of the flying bees, you want them to go ahead and fly off. And there's a good series that Randy Oliver did in American Bee Journal, but it's about a 5-part series, so it goes each month. It talks about which frame to grab the bees from, alcohol versus dawn versus 95% alcohol, 70% alcohol, different things. Let the bees fly up first, then get the bees. You know, so everybody's flown up. So we'll get a half a cup of bees. And they tell you circular motion is the best for a minute. He says a vigorous shake. These are nice though. Now the mason jars, you use 2 jars. Pint jars are good. You can use one for just alcohol, but you put a lid with just a regular lid and a lid with hardware cloth, number 8 hardware cloth. You put your bees in there and shake them up with the regular lid and the alcohol. Then you put the screen on when you're done shaking, and go ahead and let them drain, then shake them back down through that screen into a bowl or into the other jar. You can make a 2-way lid. The 2-way lid works good for sugar rolls, but now they sell these, and yeah. Alright guys, so we did the shake, and came up with 6 mites. 6 mites for a half a cup of bees. We're gonna do some more hives and see what we got. This is a solid board. We treat, oh, look at the beetles in there. You guys want to know about beetles? Look at that. They had them hemmed up in the bottom. So I'm going to use a traditional blaster. Because I know these work. Got about half a. And with these, you can lay them down if you don't feel them too much. They lay just fine. So that's how I lay them. Alright, so this one utilizes a little bit of bait. Get some more pollen in here. They say bee bread pollen. A little pollen in there. And beetles do like the pollen. We'll close that up. And we're going to give them some oil. That'd be enough. You're halfway. Alright. And this closes up. And then we'll clear us a spot. So it rides on the frame. And it slides down in between and it rides right there on the frame. And they say you can actually pull the frame up together with it, but I probably wouldn't do that. Let's see what it does. Reusable, right? I think I'm gonna go ahead and put a trap in here. So I was asked about the alcohol and reusing it on one of them when I was talking about doing mite checks. And so what you can do is, I'll basically got a measuring cup. I take this out and just run this through some cheesecloth. And you can just keep on doing that. All right, guys, this is a pretty strong hive. So I want to see, I'm only opening this one to get an idea of a mite count. So I got eggs. I have a few larvae, some old cat brood. So there's a good chance you gotta watch these ones where there's fresh eggs. She could be on this one. Don't want to alcohol wash her. I'm also checking to see if I see any deformed wing virus, anything like that. I don't see a queen on here anywhere. So let's shake this off. Alright, got her all back together. And while they don't seem like they're very stressed, they are infested with mites, guys. I count over 10 mites. I stopped counting. That's a major issue. Major issue. Look what I strained out of 2 hives. Of course, one of them only had, one had 6 and one had, oh man, well over 10. So we got a bad infestation. And apparently, oxalic acid, it didn't do anything for it. All right, here's a little single that I got. This is one that's been up and down all year. They ended up, seemed like they come around. This is number 15. Started out as a nuke. Like it. No, that's oil. Look at that. Oh, look at there. That's why I put them in a nice light cage and take a good gander, because there my queen was and I didn't see her on the frame. There she went. Down she goes. One thing about these beetle gels is they're not flexible, so you shove them in that frame and they're going to fit in that frame. They're not going to pop back up like these do, so that's a plus. I just hope they chase the beetles down in them. So I got to remember which ones I put them in. This one and 5. I didn't put any more in. Okay. Let's close them up and let me see what we got for mites. Let's look. About 3 of those things are stingers, but there's 5 mites in there that I counted, maybe 6. So there you go. We sampled 3 hives across the board. 2 of them pretty strong. 1 of them on the weak side, and the strongest one had, I re-looked, and I want to say like 15 mites, 10 or 15. That's terrible. No reason to keep going and killing more bees. They've all got them like that probably, so we're going to go ahead and start our regime all over again. Well, hey there folks, we are back, and this is the next day. Just had a bunch going on and had my mind on other things, and had a lot that I wanted to go over after that last video was shot. And when I went to edit it after the posting I made yesterday, I was all over the place, and it just didn't, it was going to be it wasn't going to be a smooth edit. So decided to go ahead and shoot a closing today, and let's go over what we saw yesterday when I made the video. So decided to go out and change the bottom board, do a quick inspection on that particular hive, and I mean quick, just basically see if there was eggs and such, and do a mite check, which I would have found eggs because I've been looking for a brood frame to pull my nurse bees from for the check. So went out, and that was our intentions, and you know, go ahead and check a few hives across the board. So that's what we did, and did some mite checks. And I want to go ahead and start by saying this is the first year I've ever checked for mites after a treatment. I've only been treating 4 years, and the first 4 years I didn't treat at all. The last 4 years I have treated. I've only used OAV, and that is it. And I just have never checked after a treatment. I've done a couple checks before treatments, but not like I should, and never anything after. And went in and did them, and what I found is a prime reason you should do one before and one after, because while I found the mites, and while 2 of the hives were under the recommended threshold, I don't know where I started. And for those, that's not a big deal, but for the one that had a lot of mites, it would have been nice to know where I started with that hive. And so shame on me for not doing, you know, checking mite loads prior to and then after to see how efficient my treatments are. You can't know how efficient your treatments are if you're not checking. That's just common sense to me, I think. I mean, don't you think so? I mean, that makes sense to me. But I never did it, and did it this year. It was kind of an eye-opener on that one hive. So anyway, we'll go over what we found. LSU Ag Center recommends, their threshold recommendation is 3%, and those 2 hives are at 2%. So we are under the threshold. After OAV, it would have been nice to have 0, but you know, I will go over that. I did do a very thorough wash, and I'll go over that in a minute. But the one hive, it had a lot. It was double the 3% threshold. They recommend 3%. We were at 2% on 2, 6% on 1. Need to intervene on that and take care of that. The reason I say it had been good to do them before, I wonder what that hive was before. Called my buddy Kenny last night, and was bouncing some ideas off of him and things like that. And he's been beekeeping. He and I started at the same time, and he's got 100 plus hives. He basically runs a sideline, really more of a commercial operation, I think. But I guess people will call him a sideliner. But nonetheless, we bounce ideas and try to help each other when we can. And you know, he came up with some thoughts, I came up with some thoughts, and another one of the thoughts we both were thinking of. You know, who knows if that hive, since the treatment, didn't go out and rob out a hive maybe across the road where there's some hives, or maybe a hole in a tree that absconded, you know, and picked up a bunch of mites and brought them back. Who knows? We don't know. Why? Because it didn't do mite load check prior to the treatment. So lesson learned right there. I can't just do them before, and I can't just do them after. Probably better if I'm going to do them at all, just do them before and after. So there you go. But I am happy that we were in the threshold. The only alarming part was that it was after OAV treatments that we were, you know, still seeing mites. But again, we were seeing within the threshold on 2 of the hives. And I'm hoping that the majority of them are like that. But since I saw the high one, I'm going to go ahead and treat across the board, and hopefully we'll take care of all that. And then I'll check that same one. I won't keep checking hives though. One interesting thing is, and the reason I don't want to check a bunch of them is because, well, I don't want to take a chance of killing a queen this late in the season. And you saw I had a queen in that tub. I missed her on the frame, and I'm telling you, I looked at that frame 2 or 3 times. She must have been in a crack or crevice. So got her, caged her, put her back on the hive. We were good to go. So let me go over the method I used. I've been reading, I read a series in American Bee Journal by Randy Oliver. If y'all ever know Randy Oliver, when he does a study, guys, he is thorough. And he was a very thorough study on to get the best, most accurate wash. And you know, out of the, he used Dawn, he used different percentages of alcohol. He used one other thing, I forget what it was, and he used other dish detergents besides Dawn. He found Dawn did really good, really good. But he also found that the higher percentage alcohol did good. He also recommended when you put him in the tub, let the rest of the bees fly out. Any flyers need to go, and you want just those nurse bees shook. And with the shake, he recommended swirling it and doing it vigorously for 1 minute. Then when you're done, you kind of give it another nice gentle shake and get the rest of the mites out. So I was very thorough in the actual wash. So you know, hopefully everybody's thorough out there, because you may be sitting there with 1 or 2 mites thinking, man, I'm doing great, and you didn't do a good thorough wash. So you know, that's a good article if you can get American Bee Journal in your hands and read it. But it's like 5-month span, maybe 3-month span. I don't know. It was a long series, but it was very good, and he shows you the numbers. So anyway, that's where we're at with those. You know, we did a good thorough wash. We did it on 3 different hives, and we'll go back through, and hopefully we didn't get a queen on those other 2. We definitely didn't get one on the one, because I saw her. And so, hey, we move on. So at least 2 of them were within the threshold. I'm not sitting here panicking. I'm not worried about it. It's going to be okay. We're going to fix it, and we're going to get on through winter. Everybody had a lot of food, and everybody was queen right, and the bottom board got changed out. Also got to try out some of those reusable traps. Very promising looking traps. So I'm hoping those work out well. The bait box in the middle has some pollen. I can always shove a pollen patty piece in there. Those things down here, they attract beetles like crazy. So there's a little vent in that so they can smell it. So hopefully that works. We'll check those in a week and see how well they worked. If they work, I'll be ordering. I'll go ahead and grab me about 30 or 40 of those things. Just have them on hand. Because you saw I got beetles. But when I pulled that bottom board out, man, those beetles were all right in that corner. They scattered, and there was a lot of beetles, but there were none in the top of that hive. That was what was unusual. So they had them all corralled in the bottom. The bees in a strong hive, and the hive was stronger than I thought, they will corral those beetles. And they had those beetles corralled in that corner on that solid bottom. I put a screen bottom in, so I hope that doesn't affect it, but you know, that just shows when you open them up, they spread. And beetles have been so bad this year, and that's across the board, talking to different people. So they're maintaining them, and I always say strong hive. You know, traps are a bonus. So got that done. Hopefully those beetle jails work out, and we can move on with some of those. All right, guys. Well, that's it for now. I do appreciate everybody that's been watching. If you guys really want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is give us a thumbs up. I have noticed when I've got 1,000 or 2,000 views, I only got a couple 100 to 300 likes. That's a pretty big differential. Maybe they don't like the video. Well, they're not giving me a thumbs down. Don't forget to like the video, guys, if you did like the content that's here. And don't forget to subscribe. Look, subscription is free with YouTube. And there ain't many things in this world that are free anymore. Might as well take advantage of something. And guys, don't forget to share this video with your friends, your family, anybody that just enjoys watching bees. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and God bless you.